Hey there, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Just thought I would do a video rather than just write in text, just to mix it up for a little bit, and also just to give you guys a chance to see my face. You guys might be looking to see a friendly face at some point at this point. Anyway, today, this morning, you should have received a couple of emails from me. The first one of these is the comments on the version 1 of your paper. And the second one is from your peer reviewer. And a couple of peer reviews are still to come in. I want to thank everyone for their patience at this time as we move forward in the new online format. And to rest assured, for those who haven't had a chance to submit their peer review yet, please get it in as soon as you can, but also take care of yourselves. That's the most important thing right now. I wanted to talk a little bit about the version 1 comments. I sent them out just with the comments. I put the grade over in Canvas, but I didn't want everyone to focus on the grade. It's actually not the most important thing. The most important thing is I know you guys have invested hours and hours of your time and energy into your research projects. And so I want to focus on helping you make those as good as they can be, rather than on things like deadlines and grading schedules and all of that sort of thing. And so really it's a set of sentences or short paragraphs that are focused on content and structure and argumentation more than anything else. Not really focused on length, except insofar as you folks mostly know where you need to expand your work. And some of you submitted work that was really quite expansive, and others of you kind of knew already before March break, before all of this hit, you kind of knew where things needed to go and where there needed to be growth. So thank you, by the way, for those of you who included comments or notes to me. Those are very helpful in your text as I think about what needs to happen next. So I know what I need to tell you, but also what I don't need to tell you. Stuff you guys already know that needs to be done. In general, and as always, I am thoroughly impressed with the strong reflective quality of the work that you guys are doing. A lot of you are brand new to linguistic anthropology and are just coming to grips with theories and methods and whatever, and you're not experts. And for many of you, this isn't your field. But that in general, I'm very happy with these, as I always am. That's not to say there's no work still to be done. For every single one of you, there's work to be done. Nobody's ready to go. Nobody's totally set. Having said that, today is March 26th. Basically got almost a month to go before anything substantive in the way of revisions is due. And also, I recognize that for some of you, this is something that may continue on, that you may really be thinking about what you want to do with this project beyond the scope of this course. And I would really encourage that, whether that's a conference presentation or an article or part of a qualifying exam for a PhD student, whatever that might be. That's what I want you guys to focus on, and not the sort of narrower timeline between now and the university mandated end of the semester. That's not where I'm focusing my attention right now. Rather, I'm focusing my attention on what can I do to help you get where you need to be. And that's not things like grammar and sentence structure. Either I assume you guys will clear that up on your own, or it'll get cleared up at some later point. What I really want to know is, what are you thinking about? How can you link that research question to some useful or interesting data that produce an answer that's meaningful in the context of whatever theoretical framework you've chosen to use? And again, I'm super happy with those, and you know, there's obviously a range of in terms of those papers, but I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And of course, that's the next thing, which is that I want to hear from you. Given that I will not be having regular face-to-face contact with you for the rest of the semester, everything will have to be done virtually, but I would really encourage everyone to email me and set up a time for a meeting on Zoom, a one-on-one meeting. I think that would be a really, really great idea So think about when you'd like that to be. Maybe you want to take some time to let some of it sink in, or maybe you want to get 2 or 3 things done before you meet me. And maybe you guys have got other things going on right now, and this week or next week isn't the right time. Okay, I get all of that. So take those comments, internalize, think about them, reflect on them, definitely read them if you do nothing else, and then we'll prepare for the next step. You've also got a set of peer review comments. And your peer reviewers have done a ton of work. Thank you everybody for taking the time and energy to put into one of your colleagues' work. And recognizing that there's a couple still awaiting, I expect those to come pretty soon. And what you then have is you have 2 sets of comments. Now, it's always hard to know what to do with 2 sets of comments. On the one hand, your peer reviewers' comments are in many cases quite a bit longer than my comments are, or at least similar in length. And they've spent a lot of time on just your one paper. And so they've got some thoughts, and it's worth paying attention to them. They've all been in the class same as you, and we're all thinking, or I think we're all thinking empathetically about one another, trying to think about what does this person need to make their paper be ready to take the next step. At the same time, you may find that in places, either the peer reviewers' comments are quite different from mine, or in fact, sometimes even contradictory from mine. And then you kind of have to decide what to do. But I want to emphasize that it is actually your decision in both of the cases, in both my comments and the peer reviewers' comments. These are not things that you must do, but they're things that you need to think about as you decide what you want to do. So I want to be really clear. Even in the case of my comments, you don't have to do exactly what I suggest you could do. You should think about why I wrote what I did, why I'm suggesting what I'm suggesting, and whether there's a way to do that or something else that fulfills the same goal. And do the same for the peer reviewer. And if you could do that, then you're actually taking agency over your own work. You're not simply being a receptacle for random comments, which maybe I've misunderstood something. It happens all the time. And maybe that's something that actually I suggested something, but it's really the result of a misunderstanding. Okay, take your time, figure that out, figure out what's gone wrong, or ask me. Figure out what it is that you want to do or what you'd like to do. And that's actually what's going to make this paper the best possible paper it can be. Because to be honest, there are actually 3 sets of comments. There are my comments, there are your peer reviewer comments, and then there are your own comments, thoughts, questions, arguments. The things that weren't on the page when you submitted this back on the 3rd of March, but which are now really at the forefront of your mind. And those are the things that you ought to be taking a lead from, are your own thoughts. And if you don't know whether your own thoughts are good, you should be asking me. Let me know what you're thinking about. All right. Take those in, take some time over them, take some time to sort of internalize, figure out where you're at. And then the next step for everybody is to write your abstracts. And some of you already have abstracts, and some of you don't have abstracts. That's fine. As you know, and we set this out at the beginning of the term, and now more than ever, I think it's important to get our abstracts up in a public venue. So what we're going to do is, as you know, there's a website, languageandsocieties.wordpress.com, that has all of the abstracts from all of the previous iterations of this course, and it's up there, and it's a resource for you to think about how to write a good abstract. There's also a handout up in Canvas about how to write an abstract, and with the instructions for sort of how to do that. I want you to keep it short and sweet. I want you to remember that an abstract is not telling me everything about your paper. You don't and you can't. What you're really doing is you're giving a reader enough to know whether they want to read the full paper. Basically, most of us read 10 abstracts for every article we ever read. And so when I read an issue of a journal, I skim the abstracts, and then I find maybe the one or maybe none that I actually want to take a closer look at. The abstract is giving the reader just enough information to know whether they want to continue on. So you need to think about, for some audience that I want to be reading this paper, what do I want them to know about? What do I want them to know that's going to get them to read the paper, or at least to know whether they should be reading it or not? Those can be submitted online, and I'm looking forward to seeing those as well. Once they do, I want to emphasize that this year, more than ever, I'm really going to be promoting these on our department website, on email, on email lists, on social media. Those of you who follow me on Twitter, you'll see lots of stuff talking about your amazing work. And that's not because, it's because I think your work is really good. I think I'm consistently very impressed at the level of work that goes on in this class. But it's also because we're living in a really strange time, in a time where we can't see one another, and where the work that goes on in every department, including anthropology and linguistics, is kind of invisible. And I don't want it to be invisible. I want it to be seen. I want it to be seen by my colleagues. I want it to be seen by future graduate students. I want it to be seen by everybody. And so for that reason, know that even as hard as it is to put your work out in a public venue, that's really the goal that I have for you for this course, because the level that you're working at and thinking at, that's the way that you should be thinking about your work, not as a set of papers that go and get tucked into a drawer and never seen again, but as part of your professional repertoire of scholarly work. So please ask any questions you have, email me, contact me by any means possible. I'm happy to respond, and I'll try to get to everyone within 24 hours. And other than that, please take care of yourselves. We're all trying to figure out about this new normal. It's not normal. I don't want to pretend that it is. To try to have some semblance of the productivity that we would otherwise have. That's not real. That's not realistic. But I really hope that you can all be well and stay safe. Stay distant from one another for now, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.